What is up, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs out there? Hope you're doing well. We are back with another episode of the Shared Screens Media Club, the one show here on Shared Screens where we talk all things games, movies, TV shows, and not books, because who the hell reads, you know?
Oh, yeah, a little birdie told me you messed that up recently, and a
And
small
I'll
part of me
never do it
died.
again. I'll never do it again. And if you couldn't tell by the audio or the video, I'm joined by a couple beautiful boys. I got Austin, I got Jordan. How y'all doing tonight?
I'm great.
Fantastic.
I'm exhausted though. I worked a 9 to 6 today, and I usually work
Damn.
like a 6 to 3 or a 5 to 2. So my whole day is just like shifted a few hours, and I'm feeling it. Like
Right.
I am tired.
Yeah,
Fair
they've
enough.
they've switched my schedule up that I'm supposed to start going into the office more often now, and I
Mm.
hate it because I have to wake up
Ooh.
earlier. I have to get dressed and shit. Whereas like work from home days, wake up 10 minutes
Super
before
chill.
my shift, and I'm still in my underwear.
Right.
Hmm.
Interesting. Well, lately, we're coming with topics to Media Club, and today we're talking about games we just can't get into. I'm talking games you've booted up multiple times. You've maybe played the first hour or so, you know, different times, and you've given it a fair shake, but for some reason, it just gameplay mechanics, something's not clicking with you. So Austin, I'll start with you. Do you have any game that comes to mind? Any game that you've just tried so desperately to get into, but just can't?
Um, any Souls game because I don't have the patience for it. But I tried Bloodborne. I think if I ever were to go back to a Souls game, it would be Bloodborne because that's the one that intrigues me the most.
Right.
But yeah, any Souls game is just not my thing. There's probably a better answer that I don't have on the top of my head. So come back to me.
Well,
Hit Jordan.
I was thinking we're bringing multiple to the table. I'm going to cycle through. Come back if you come up with any more answers. Jordan, you got a game that comes to mind?
I have several, but I'll actually start broad the way Austin did, and I'll go for a whole genre right now. I've talked about it
Okay.
before. I cannot do turn-based games with the exception of Pokemon. I think I said it on our
Right.
very first podcast. Don't let me play as a cool ass guy with a giant sword and a jacket that only has one sleeve and let me stand there like a fucking asshole as somebody comes up to me and like pokes me. I want
I
to,
feel
I don't
that.
necessarily need a dodge roll, but I want to be able to both dodge and roll.
Right.
Fair enough.
Dodge, roll, move
Yeah.
around the combat arena a little bit. Similar to Souls games, but you know, maybe not as difficult.
I need action. Like I've tried to go back to older Final Fantasies and I just
Mhm.
can't get past that barrier for whatever reason. It's the reason why Pokemon I think is the one that like I'm immune to it is one, it's because I grew up with it, and two, it's because in my head I'm playing as the trainer, so I'm yelling the moves out by selecting them. When
Right.
it's the actual character I'm playing and I don't have the option to move them around
I
freely.
have I have two things I want to say. One, I don't see any audio moving, so I'm just hoping that that's recording. So I'm
Oh
just
yeah, we're all going through.
Yeah,
okay,
everyone's
good.
good.
Because for me, it's not. Is it because I'm recording? It might be. Doesn't matter. Second, I remembered Zelda's a thing, and Legend of Zelda is like a franchise that I just have never gotten into. The only one I've ever played and like genuinely enjoyed enough to finish
Skyward Sword.
was the Link's Awakening on the island, like the Game Boy remake.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah,
really good.
that one's like kiddie
Mhm.
enough and like dumbed down enough to where I'm like, I can drive with this one. But any other one, like I tried Breath of the Wild, I'm like, this is not for me. I don't know what it is about it. Like I think the way in which the story is told and the way in which like the combat works, I think are just like things that I don't hate, but I also don't love. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I've only played 3 Zelda games, and you've already mentioned 2 of them. The third one I played was Skyward Sword, which I said as a joke before because I know that one by more Zelda diehards is not considered that great. If I were
Right.
Agreed.
you, I would try that one just because it's not as brutal as like Breath of the Wild and like the survival mechanics, but it's like a step above Link's Awakening.
Yeah. I think as a core, I think Legend of Zelda, like its core mechanics and stuff like that, it's just things that I like but don't love. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Right.
aspects where I'm like, I like this aspect, I like this aspect, and it's just kind of like no part of it is like, damn, like I this is just selling it home for me. Like I have to keep going. I think that it's all just like serviceable for me as how I play video games.
Right.
But the Link's or no, I'm sorry, the Skyward Sword is that the remake is on Switch?
Yeah, it was originally on the Wii. They took out the motion
Remake,
controls, but you
sorry.
could
I
still
meant
use them if you want
remaster.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
um, it's not bad.
Fair enough. Well, I'll probably never get around to it, but if there's another one in the style of like a modern version of like a top down one, like Link's Awakening, I can see
Right.
myself playing something like that. So
Gotcha.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jordan, was there any more you wanted to talk on that Pokemon
sorry.
bit?
No,
All good.
no. I mean, as far as like, yeah, just basically, there's turn-based games. I think they take me out of the experience a little more than I'd like to. That's something I would love
Right.
to get over because I know that there's great ones.
Mhm.
But for now, that's just something that I can't seem to get over.
To
Turn
get
based is
over, get
weird for
into.
me personally. Like I'm like I like turn based, and then I find a turn based game like this is boring as shit. Like I don't know. I feel like there
Yeah.
has to be something to the
Well,
turn based
granted,
combat
yeah. I
for me
mean,
to like.
I love action heavy games, but there's going to be games where the action is really shitty and I can't get into them. But as a whole, I'm saying like games that I know are very well. I can't even get through like I played like the first level of the original Final Fantasy VII, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I get it. It's cool,
It's also just
but
old
Right.
game is old for that one.
Yeah.
But the game I talked about at the beginning of the year, clearly you both will know what I'm talking about. One Piece Odyssey. That is a turn-based game that I was playing before earlier in the year. I do intend to go back to it.
Mhm.
But the way they have like zones, which is like if a certain character's in a certain zone, you can go help them with another character, which is very,
Right.
very, very One Piece. Like One Piece, the way they like plot out their combat is like over here we have these three people fighting these three people, and they literally do like intermissions where it's like a top-down map, and then they show over like over here we have this combat. So like it feels very like in line with One Piece as a show and how they like maneuver between fights. So like I
Right.
love that kind of turn-based stuff because it's like a little twist and it
yeah.
feels right at home for One Piece. But like I don't have a lot of examples like that. So
See, I can't even do the like route of like, oh, maybe if there's an IP I really like, I'll suffer through the turn base. I did not pick up Marvel's Midnight Suns. If Marvel's not
That's
pulling me in, I'm probably not going to be pulled
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
One
I
Piece
That is
me.
saying a lot.
I I'm getting. I feel like the in between of like a. I've never fully played a game, but it's piqued my curiosity. That's in the middle is like more tactical strategy games, where like
Mhm.
I remember one time before a podcast, a couple of I think it was Austin and Alec, or it might have been Brett and Alec, were just raving about Advanced Wars coming out. I was like, what is this? And they're like, it's a
Huh.
fantastic old GBA game. And so I pulled up an online emulator. And in the middle, I
It was
think, of our
great.
meeting, I started playing Advanced Wars. I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, I
I do
get,
remember this. I do
Right.
remember this happening though. Yeah,
yeah,
Advance Wars is one I've always been like, yeah, if they do a remake or a remaster, I'll hop on. But
yeah,
other than that, but
later
I
next month.
and now it's finally coming out, right? Maybe I don't know.
And then,
Finally.
little behind the scenes is we're recording this on a Tuesday, day after the Kind of Funny GDC stream. The game Demon School, which is like an active. If I don't know if you guys
Ooh.
were paying attention yesterday and watching
No.
along, but that was the first game they showed at the Kind of Funny GDC stream. Um, that one is very tactical-ish in that sense of like you tell this person to go here and do that, and all that stuff.
What what was the combo? They said Persona meets something, and I was like,
They said it
damn,
was
that's awesome.
well. They said it was like Persona meets something, and then the person went, well, it's actually more like Shin Megami Tensei. It's more in line with
Yeah,
that, which I know Persona and Shin Megami are like cousins.
yeah, and one's way better than the other in my opinion, but that's fine.
But yeah,
Fair
so like
enough.
that one has also piqued my interest, but like straight up turn based is yeah.
Well,
Fair
it
enough.
doesn't do it for you. Something that doesn't do it for me, and I've tried. I've tried so many times. Apex Legends. I've played
Hmm.
many matches with different friends. Even Bo and his friends. I've hopped on. I've tried. I've tried, and every time I'm just reminded of Titanfall 2. I'm like, I'd rather be playing Titanfall 2 or a
Yeah,
new Titanfall game. And we got word last year that or
just salt in the
last
wound.
month, yeah, yeah, they just canceled it. Apex meets Titanfall single player campaign, and they just canceled it. And I was like, come on,
So,
my one shot.
so you gave it like the old college try on more than one occasion. Like you actually like
Yeah,
jumped in for a few hours, not just like a few matches. And
yeah, a few hours on different separate occasions. I'm like, maybe it's a squad I'm rolling with. I've played with different friends. I've played
it's them,
with
not me.
I played with like different legends, and I feel like in the day and age of like free to play multiplayer games, it's so easy to just pick up a game, give it a the old college try, and just determine if it's not for you, and then just drop it because
Yeah.
there's no barrier to entry. It's just a download,
At least
right?
like in that regard, like at least you tried so many times, you're not out any money. At least, like, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and,
Yeah.
like, played Apex a bit when it first came out because, like,
Mhm.
it was a period of time where, like, I wasn't in school for a bit, and so other friends of mine were like, "Hey, this game just dropped. Let's, every once in a while
Jump
hang out
on.
on it." And, like, it's fun enough, but, like, I'm in general not a shooter guy, but, like, you're into shooters.
Yeah, yeah. I'm into shooters. Like I love Doom, Battlefield, Call of Duty is problematic as it is. I've stepped out of the Call of Duty scene a lot in recent years because fuck Activision, right? But
Mhm.
like I love shooters and multiplayer shooters. There's something nice about just being able to just turn your brain off and just pwn some kids, pwn some noobs,
Yeah.
right? Halo style. Apex just doesn't do it for me.
Mhm. Like, even me as someone who considers themselves, like, really bad at shooters, Halo just feels right. Like, Halo has
Right.
always felt like how a shooter is supposed to feel to me. But ask me what my favorite shooter of all time is.
Is
Someone
it
ask me.
Portal 2?
No, that's a good though. That's I like that, but no.
What's your
Someone
favorite
ask me.
All right.
shooter?
Someone ask me.
Splatoon.
No,
Splatoon. What's your favorite shooter?
thank you. Fear 2.
You're oh right. Yeah, yeah.
I've said this before, but Monolith made Project Origin Fear 2, and there's something about like the horror nature because I really like horror games, and they have this because I'm
Right.
terrible at shooters. They have this like slow down time mechanic, and I'm like, fuck, like I am
Yeah,
in
man.
this hardcore, and like that game rocks, but no one ever talks about it. And
Single
whatever, the
player
game is really
shooters
really good.
Single player shooters I could get
It's a
into.
little different. I agree.
Yeah, a decent amount because it's scaled down for you to be able to, like, at least play through the game.
Right.
And every once in a while where I'm like, I kinda just want a game where I'm running around and just, get that nice shotgun action and then that's when I'll, like, re-download Fortnite and, like, play it for, like, a week. Don't even worry about the battle pass. I'm still rocking, the free skins. Don't give a shit.
Even though there's like like Marvel skins and like almost every IP is in Fortnite, have you ever considered in that week, just dropping the
Nah,
$3
I
on
because
it?
knew.
I don't care enough. Because here the other thing is, I also am the worst type of person where I don't like not being good at something. So when I play Fortnite, I play it on the Switch.
Ooh.
Smart though. Smart though. I get it. I get the
Dude,
move.
back before I had my OLED and the fixture S1, because we can't call it the Switch Fix anymore, would just be laying in bed
Right.
with my Pro controller and the Switch Fix, putting the Switch right in front of me, and those 10-year-olds never saw what was coming, man.
Hell yeah.
Like you in the Marvel turn-based thing, like I knew I was never gonna get into Fortnite when Dragon Ball was introduced into it, and I still was like, no, I
You
can't.
can't.
Like, I
The other
had I had Fortnite downloaded on my Switch like a few years ago because I would play Prop Hunt. There was like a Prop Hunt mode or
Oh yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
I
played that
played
with my
I
cousin.
played a
That's
decent amount of
fire.
prop hunt on Modern Warfare 2. Like I never even like
Sure.
I was a PS3 kid, not a 360 kid, so like I didn't even bother buying a few of the Call of Duties of that era. Like I got Black Ops 1 and none of the others because like I didn't have anyone to play with. Nobody had a
Right.
PlayStation, unfortunately. And everybody who did was like auteurs and we're like, we're not playing that.
Yeah.
um, but like when I got the remastered version for free, I was like, fuck it, does it have prop hunt? Because that just is very fun. And there's
Mhm.
nothing more fucking fun than just being a giant dumpster and just making a fucking run for it.
Prop Hunt rocks. It's like 13 seconds left, and you're like, "Fuck!" The best thing is when you're another prop and you see a prop just running for his life, jumping, dodging, doing
Getting
whatever
chased
he
down.
can, and
Yeah.
you're just like, you're just chilling. You're
Right.
just like, "Go do it, buddy. Go get him."
Yeah.
Hold them off. Yeah. Austin, do you have has anything come to mind? Is there any specific game?
The game I went with was Zelda. I think Legend of Zelda is the one where it's just I've tried
Right.
so many times and I just can't. Like I've dabbled in many Zeldas. I
Mhm.
don't put more than like I want to say 5 to 6 hours total. Not total, but like 5 to 6 hours per game, and I'm just like I'm
Right.
good. Like it's just
Right.
not made for me.
Now, you've tried on you mentioned you tried on multiple different uh games.
Mhm.
What is the appeal to at least jumping into the next one, right? So like would you got like give Tears of the Kingdom an honest shake and like come May?
No, but that's because I've tried Breath of the Wild, and I feel like this is Breath of the Wild
just more
2, and I'm like,
right.
well, so like I don't think I would enjoy that. And I see all the physics stuff and like all these really cool, smart like mechanics in there, and I'm like, like it doesn't wow me in any way, and I'm just like that's cool, and I understand the appeal. It does nothing for me. doesn't get me going.
Fair enough.
So I don't know.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I don't
But
think I
like,
would. Not because I
l-
think the
l-
game's bad. I just don't think it's made for me.
right. But like, do you look at Link in like? 'Cause, I mean, I haven't played a Zelda game, but my God, Link is just so iconic, right? To gaming,
Agreed.
is that the appeal? Like, you always like try to at least jump in for the story of it or see what the adventure is.
I wouldn't even say I always try to jump in nowadays. Like after Breath of
Right.
the Wild, I think I'm done because people are like, "This is the pinnacle," and I'm like, "Well, it didn't do it for me." So I think the reason I kept trying it is because people wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. like like people love Legend of Zelda,
Valid.
and clearly for like a good reason. But I just think I'm not the audience for it. So I think I
Right.
was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I just gotta really dig in there. Maybe use a guide or something. And it's never done it for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Jordan,
So
another title.
I have a recent one that I think is gonna get some hate, but I'm also seeing some people match my opinion on Twitter recently, and I don't want to say I
Okay.
can't get into this. I'm just its style is not for me right now, and that is Metroid Prime Remastered. Bought it,
Ooh.
downloaded it. I enjoy the gameplay of it, and I do to an extent enjoy the puzzles. I just wish that there was like 10% more guidance. Tell me where my next objective is,
Jordan.
type of thing.
Here's the thing. I completely agree with you. I booted it up. I was really impressed. I was like, "How old is this game? Like this is really creative and like intuitive, and I really like it." This is a game that I'm waiting for a little bit of lull, whether it's this year or next year or whatever. And I'm going to use a guide. I'm going to play it because I really did enjoy my time playing this game. And I
Yeah,
just have other games I want to
Right.
play.
it's without using a guide. It feels like when I was a kid and I would have games that I know I played 100 hours from in my childhood, but I never beat that game. I was just doing the same
Sure.
thing because I was a dumb kid or I didn't know what to do
San
next. Or
Andreas.
there
Let
was
me tell you.
it was a used copy of a game, and so it came with one version that was like already 75% complete, and I would just go from world to world. Like that was kind of me with DK64. I never saw that game through.
Right.
And I really think just the biggest thing is I don't know where the fuck it wants me to go. I also think that it should give me fast travel between save points. If it had those two things, I'd be like, fuck y'all guys, I'm playing it. That, like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Right.
it has intrigued me enough that if when 4 gets re-revealed, if it has these modern day quality of life improvements, I will play it. Because I think the other thing that's a barrier to entry that makes me go, I don't know how much I'm enjoying this. I don't know what the fucking story of Metroid is. I know the Metroids are a thing. I know that
Right.
there's bugs all the time. I know that Samus is a woman.
Ah!
People taught me that when I was 8 and I played Smash Bros. I went, this guy's cool. They're like, it's a girl. And I was like, what? Like,
What?
yeah. I feel like everybody
Yeah.
went through that with Smash Bros.
Yeah, I
But
remember when I
like,
was
right.
8.
but it's Smash Bros, not Smash Sisters.
I thought you were saying something.
Nothing wrong with smashing your bros as a friend.
I thought you were saying it's Smash Bros,
Good
not
man.
Smash Hoes. And I was like, ah!
Yeah.
No.
um,
No. But yeah, that one is just like give it to me with some modern sensibilities and I'll be into it.
Yeah,
uh,
I think I will also go back to when 4 comes out. I think I will have played the remastered version by then, and
Right.
I'll probably love it because I was really impressed with what I played.
and
Oh,
now
yeah. Looks, sorry to interrupt, Josh, but
go for
this just being a remaster and of a game as old as it is, looks fantastic.
Really good.
Play as well because I guess they didn't do the dual stick before. It's just I can't just go on a hunch. I'm not that smart, and you guys also aren't giving me enough information.
I
Tell
agree.
me where to go.
I'm dumb
Right.
dumb, so like I need a guide to do this. I'm sure I could
Mhm.
eventually trial and error my way through this, like, but I don't want to spend that amount of time. Like I have things to do.
Mhm.
I have other games to play.
Yeah,
right.
Like if this was like 12-year-old Austin, I'd probably lose myself in this game, like legit. But like
and I also
20,
get
27, 27
you have
year
to
old
like
Austin,
yeah.
maybe.
And I
Not
get
case.
that going back and rediscovering the same areas with a new set of abilities is like the crux of Metroidvanias.
Right.
But the consistent backtracking is also annoying.
Yeah, I'd like to know where I'm backtracking to per se.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the only game I can think of where I didn't use fast travel much or even ever would be Spider-Man, and that's just because it doesn't take that long to swing across the map,
Exactly.
and it's fun enough to do so. But
Yeah,
going
it
like
feels so
I'm
good.
doing the same exact platforming, and now I got to do it backwards, and I already left this room, so now the fucking enemies are back in it.
Let me tell
Right.
you about a little gem called Fallout 3, all right?
Mhm.
My first time ever playing through that game, I didn't know fast travel was a thing. So I just ran everywhere. And I think that's why I loved it so much. Is because like I was forced myself to just live in this world 110%. There are also points where I'm
Right.
just sprinting through the world, through all these enemies, and I'm like, I'm getting from to point B, like no matter what happens right now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
fat man, just shoot all these rockets, get the hell away from me. I'm going. Yeah.
Love that.
Right. Has playing this remaster of an old like uh a Game Boy, was it Game Boy or GameCube?
GameCube.
Yeah,
GameCube.
GameCube.
It was GameCube, and then about a week after Metroid Prime Remaster came out, Metroid Fusion on the GBA got put on Switch Online. That might be
Right.
what you're thinking of.
Right. Has it made you want to go back and play Metroid Dread, the one that came out a couple years ago? I
Oh,
know Nintendo games don't really go on sale, but maybe you get an E3 $10 off Metroid Dread. Would you give it a shake?
Metroid Dread is another example of the Legend of Zelda effect. Where like, maybe I was wrong, and I bought the game because I bought Dread, and I played for like like a half hour to an hour just to like understand what the game is. Like this is dope. Like I really enjoy this, but I don't want to be
Right.
like filled with
Yeah.
anxiety right now, so I'm not doing this.
Fair enough.
And I never went back,
So
but I do intend to.
for context of me and Metroid's relationship, I have played a little bit of Super Metroid on NES Online or SNES Online. I have played up to the first boss in Fusion on an emulator on my phone. And I played the demo for Dread.
Right.
It's probably the worst way to play that game. Probably.
I did. The backbone really
Played
helps
on
because
my
you
mini fridge screen.
listen. Only issue is the triggers because you have to hold one trigger and use another trigger. Second, I got the backbone. Shit was fine.
Yeah, my
Right.
backbone mini fridge. Let me tell you, just
So I've played the demo for Dread, and I guess another category of games I can get into, and I feel like people are gonna hate me for this one. Honestly, a lot of 2D games, they can only hold my attention for so long. Like I played the Sea of
Right.
Stars demo, and I look at that pixel art, and I see other pixel art online, and not even of Sea of Stars, of pixel art in general. I go, that is objectively beautiful. That looks amazing. As a game, I cannot play it for more than like 2.5 hours.
I used to be that way, Jordan. I would say like 5 or 6 years ago, I used to be that way, and then I
Mhm.
just forced myself to like trove through. And Octopath helped a lot with that because I think Octopath was unique enough to like really grab my eye. But
See,
ever
Octopath
since
then it also has the barrier of it being turn-based,
the,
you know?
the barrier of it being terribly named, yeah, I agree.
That, but it was also turn-based.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah,
obviously
that's true.
if I grew up on the pixel art games, obviously I'll have no problem playing them. I mean, I willed Mega Man Battle Network into fucking existence, and that is 10 games that I am getting for the price
Right.
of one. Like, and I'm gonna be perfectly fine with that. And I think that the fact that they added the graphics filter, which just smoothes out the pixels and it makes it look like that watercolor shit that you see. I'm not saying that watercolor art games are bad, but like this just looks like it's a bad filter over it. I appreciate pixel art for what it is, but like I don't think I would ever be able to sit down and start a brand new game I've never played before completely in it. And I don't necessarily think it's a taste thing as much as it is a nostalgia thing where it's like I didn't grow up with the 8-bit and 16-bit consoles. I grew up with the really shitty polygons that then got better as I aged.
Right.
And pixel art was always reduced to handhelds. And again, I don't say that negatively. It's just how I view it. So yeah.
Fair enough. The next one I'll jump into a game I can't get into and it breaks my heart.
Give us them hot takes.
We mentioned Monolith earlier. My 2014 game of the year, Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor. Middle Earth Shadow of War breaks my fucking heart. I cannot get into this game whatsoever. I feel like they had something going with the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor,
Then they
and Shadow of
trademarked it.
Mordor, and they trademarked it, they patented it, so no one else can use it. And then they made a whole game solely around it. And like Shadow of Mordor is what got me into Lord of the Rings. I like watched the movies afterwards. Like this was just a phase. And
I wonder how often that's the case for people. Like, I
I
feel
was
like
gonna
it's usually
say
the other way around.
I was gonna joke and say I think Josh is the only person. Then I thought about it because I remember being in high school when Shadow of War came out, or Shadow. Which one came first, War or Mordor?
Mordor.
When Shadow of Mordor came out, and I knew Mordor was related to Lord of the Rings, so I didn't really pay attention to it. But I just remember hearing a lot of people, both
Yeah.
gaming influencers I was following at the time, and people must have been like, "Yo, this game fucking slaps."
It
Right?
fucks.
Yeah.
Right? And like I think IGN was either like I think their final review was like either a 9, like a high 9 on it. And like that's what like sold me to get it. And I feel like it's a basic revenge story, but it's at least there. The gameplay mechanics solid and stuff like that. And then for a sequel, it's just like there's no story. There like the whole story is like about protecting this thing from an army, and the army's all just the nemesis system. And it's like it's more about going in and creating unique stories of like, oh, I've killed this dude 4 times and he's still coming back and talking shit, right? And you're supposed to like have those interactions. But man, I've played the first hour of this game at least like 4 different times, and I cannot for the life of me get into it. And like my best friend was the exact same way, except he's a token nerd, right? He loves like he loves the books, loves the Lego games, loves the movies, loves all of it. It got into Mordor a little bit later, and then he's just like, I can't with Shadow of War. Like it is just a sequel that is like too big for its own good. And he was like that way for 5 years, and then we were hanging out one day. He's like, "Oh yeah, here's my 100% save file on Shadow of War," and I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" We're like 5 years. It took you 5 years, and you finally like broke the code. Like, what did it? And he's like, I don't know, man. I was just depressed and smoked a bunch of weed
Oh
and just powered
no.
through it. And I was like, damn, man. Like, is that what it takes?
Give him a
Is
big
that what it
hug.
takes?
Gaming is definitely a thing where, and I think all media is like this, where you have to be in the mood for it as well. Where like I was saying
Right.
before, I sometimes get in the mood to play something like a shooter, and so I'll go back to Fortnite. The reason I haven't watched Andor yet is because when it released, and I got like prepared for it the week before watching Rogue One, and then like it came out that day, and I was like, I'm not in the mood
In the
for this
mood.
type of. And I've kind of actually been in that space with gaming the past few months, where like there's not been any major releases. The ones that have been out aren't really for me, and I regret that I didn't get to upgrade my PC around the holidays, and I could have just been putting time into Cyberpunk these
Right.
past few months. And so like I haven't really sometimes that's what it takes, is you being in the mood for that sort of property or genre or whatever you want. Like something about it needs to hit at the right moment, the right way.
I find myself
Yeah.
recently like I don't really play video games depending on the game. There are some games where you hop in for like a few runs and you feel like you satiated. You know what I mean? Like Vampire Survivors, I
Right.
think is a good example of just like I have literally 15 minutes. I don't know what to do. You can just hop in and do a few runs. I think, or probably one run actually, but you know what I mean. Um, but I find myself recently being like, I don't want to play video games unless I can block out at least an hour. Like I need
Yeah.
an hour to like feel like I'm actually getting genuine like use out of my time when I'm going to
Right.
play a
I
game.
feel like it depends.
If I'm reviewing a game, I'm just like any fucking time I
Yeah.
can to get hands on, I need to, and I'll force myself through it that way, and it pans out
Right.
okay. But like if I'm playing for my leisure, I feel like I have to have at least an hour blocked out personally.
I would agree to that with like the asterisks of like it depends on the game, because one of the ways I ranked up like 300 hours in Tetris 99 is the quick 15-minute rounds when I have like
Right.
when the pandemic
Yeah.
first started, I was still in school, so I didn't get to do Tiger King or go fucking insane in my house like everyone else. Like I had shit to do that kept me busy, but it would be like, oh, between because I was in night school, so it was just long stretches every
Sure.
night rather than classes with like breaks in between. And like it was just, oh, I got like the 20 minutes between these two classes, bust out the Switch, a few rounds of Tetris 99, and then hop back onto Zoom.
Yeah, it definitely does
Right.
depend on the game, but I feel like for the most part, and that might just be the games I enjoy too. Like the games I like are usually like either a big sprawling campaign or like a
Yeah,
big
no,
sprawling
no,
open world. So that might be on me too. To where if I'm gonna play an open world game, I need at least an hour. Like
no,
I'm not gonna play for a half hour. That's not gonna happen.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Especially where it's like Tetris 99 or Mario Kart are things I can play
Sure.
while listening to a podcast. And I've been catching up on the Mario
Yeah.
Kart DLC and trying to get my perfect 3 stars in every Grand Prix. But you put I'm not even going to give an example, any story based game, and then add on maybe an open world elements. And yeah, no, I need a good amount of time, or else what am I doing?
Speaking of Mario
Exactly.
Kart, I came home. I don't know, a few days ago, and my wife was playing Mario Kart. She's like, I had 15 minutes before I had to go back to work from lunch or something. I'm like, Damn, like,
for
all right, cool.
quick
I don't
race.
know
Yeah,
why my
absolutely.
mind went here, but part of me was hoping you were gonna say, speaking of Mario Kart, the other day I came home and that you were gonna say that your wife had gotten you the Mario Kart toy that you could actually play.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that lucky. I would love that, but I don't have a
Maybe
big
one
enough
day.
house for that. I could just go around in circles.
Oh yeah.
My house is very tiny.
You gotta do
Yeah.
what the kids do, man. Build up like a stack of books or something, have them go up there.
I ain't got time for
Up
that.
and back
You're
down. Yeah.
restricted by your own imagination.
Right.
Fair enough.
Right. Jordan, any you told me you got a few,
Yeah.
what else you got?
All right. This one's gonna be a hot take, and I won't even say this is one I can't get into. I will say this is one that hasn't sunk its teeth into me yet.
Okay.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh,
Great game. I like it. No, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it. It's fun.
my
But
game of
like
the year, baby. It's gonna be my top 3. I'm calling it
Damn.
right now for the end of the year.
Holy
At least
shit.
top 3.
I have played it in smaller chunks, and so like the last time I played it, I think I just got the grappling hook, and I know that for people, that's when things really, really start to flow in combat.
Mhm.
I think it looks fantastic. I think it plays great. My computer is just like I'd say a slightly above average build, but nothing super crazy. Is running it at like 120 frames type of thing. Like the game is very, very fun, but I didn't hit I cannot put it down. All I know is like hi-fi Russian breathing. Like I haven't gotten to that point
Right.
that I've had with other games.
No eating, no fucking.
Interesting.
Just hi-fi rush.
I'm never fucking. You're talking to
Sorry.
Mr. No Riz No Hose right here.
My bad. But the way I played the games, I played it in chapters. So like I would play through until I got to the end of a chapter, and I'd take a small break, and I would come back, and that worked for me. But I also think that the way the game is for me, like I pretty much performed the same long, lengthy combo, but from like the second chapter on to the end of the game. And you can upgrade and get other things, but like I found a sweet spot in the combat and the rhythm that I just really enjoyed, and I was along for the ride. Hi-Fi Rush as a story is really, really good. It has really compelling characters, and it's the most
Interesting.
refreshingly unique is almost too much, and I don't mean that as like a knock, but it's the most refreshing I felt like with a different type of game that I've experienced in a long time.
No,
Like
I
it just
agree.
feels so out of time right now, and I'm like, it just fucking hits right
No,
now.
no,
Like I
right.
love this.
I love all that stuff about it. I love that it uses licensed music. I love that it's both a rhythm game and an action game. I love that it's very clearly inspired by earlier
Coming from the
games.
people who made Evil Within too. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
The most random studio, and like, and I say this as a compliment. It feels like a PS2 game. It's like that meme of this
Right.
game looks like a PS2 game. It's like I've played PS2 games. That's a compliment. That is how I
Yeah.
feel about it. It didn't sink its teeth into me in that sense, and I think part of it might be that like I'm not huge fans of the music it's using. Not that I'm a active not non-fan. It's just not my go-to type of music.
Yeah.
Give me fucking Hi-Fi Rush and like licensed out the fucking Backstreet Boys or like dumb pop music.
Right.
I'll be all
Hi-Fi
about
Funk.
that.
Hi-Fi Funk is gonna be the
Dude,
next one. I'm telling you right
listen,
now.
I'm telling you,
Ooh, sequel?
honestly, give me DLC packs that are like worlds. And
Right.
just give me different eras and genres of music. Basically, make it like Beat Saber DLC,
I
but
could see
like
them
with a
doing that
story.
in like an arena type of thing. You know what I mean? Like just like a
Ooh,
kind of
okay.
just last as long as you can, but it's with these new musical tracks
Yeah.
type of
Right.
thing.
And let me switch up the weapon. Maybe give me a keytar.
You can't switch. I don't remember if you can. I don't think you can switch out the weapon, but you can basically change the entire way you use the weapon. So
Yeah.
it feels like a new weapon.
And I think I'm gonna get back into it. It's just it didn't.
I think you have to. Like for
Yeah.
end of the year talk, I think it's a must play.
I will.
Shit. Maybe I'll try to get into it then too.
I think it's worth it. I really
Maybe.
do.
Maybe. But moving on to the next one, I couldn't get into. I'm gonna hurt Austin again.
Fuck.
Fallout New Vegas.
No.
I last year I sank my teeth into Fallout 3. I put in hours upon hour. I think 60-ish hours into that game. 100%. The store, like
Hell yeah.
all the achievements, the multiple playthroughs, all the DLC, like
Oh wait,
everything.
do you agree with me then that 3 is better than New Vegas?
100%.
Woohoo!
100%. Because I immediately then booted up New Vegas, and like I think the story is a lot more intriguing.
Yeah.
Right off the rip, I think The vibe, the Western style is like speaks a lot more to me than like groggy
Hmm.
DC, right?
Hmm.
But I think it's the hard RPG mechanics that do it, like that just kill it for
Yeah,
me, right? Like,
they New Vegas felt like an experiment that really, 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 really worked for a lot of people. For some people, they're like,
right?
I'm calling off 3, and you changed a lot of shit, and it's just like,
That
whoa, like
and
pump the brakes.
yeah,
So
right off the tails of 3, like literally finished 3 and immediately installed New Vegas and jumped right into it. And now I'm like reading books and like the knowledge lasts like 10 minutes or something. They're like, "Hey,
oh
you read a
yeah,
lock
that's a
picking
weird
book.
thing. Yeah.
It
Did
only
you
lasts 10 minutes."
when you jumped into New
It's like
Vegas, do you
sandwiches in Pokemon.
Exactly.
do you have the DLC packs? Because the DLC in New Vegas is goaded. Like the
I
DLC add-ons are fantastic.
I've not. No. I went back. I love 3 so much. I was like, "You're going to charge me like $6 Canadian for like decade old, like 15-year-old DLC? Hell yeah, dude.
And they're
I'm
really good
all in."
too. I
And I
I
loved them.
love I love the Fallout 3 DLC, and I love Fallout 3 more than New Vegas. The New Vegas
Right.
DLC packs easily better. Like by
Interesting.
far, it's not even close. Like they're that good. But the core game, I think
Interesting.
the thing that's intriguing because you say like how it's different. The thing I really enjoy about New Vegas, and again, Fallout 3 is my favorite game of all time, so I think 3 is
Mhm.
better than New Vegas. But the thing about New Vegas I think is interesting is like every other Fallout, I think every other most Fallout games besides 76 is a different thing.
Right.
You start out as like a guy who was in a vault and then you leave the vault. Like that's
Oh,
almost how
yeah.
you always begin. In New Vegas, you're just like a mailman and you get shot in the
Yeah.
fucking head and then your story starts. And I'm like,
Exactly.
Spoilers.
it's like
I know,
3
I'm
minutes
kidding.
basically.
Uh,
Uh, and there's like the casino theme and like it does
Mhm.
a lot of different things that like if you're a fan of Fallout, you're either gonna love it or I don't want to hate it, but you're gonna love it or be like, oof, like this is not Fallout.
Right.
Kind of a feel
yeah.
to it. But yeah, that's why it's so refreshing for some people, and some people are like, nope.
I
Oh, yeah.
still want to try both those games and Fallout 4. Like those are still on my
I also like Fallout 4 a
I
lot.
want to play these games someday list.
Right.
Honestly, right now it's kind of me going Xbox, Gabe, get a room, put Game Pass native on the Steam Deck, and so I can just start on my computer, finish in bed, giggity, like do it all. But Josh,
Whoa.
one thing I want to ask you is, have you played the Outer Worlds? Because I've played that and I haven't played any of the Fallouts, but I know that Outer Worlds was from the New Vegas team.
Correct.
Uh, it's one of those things when I was living with my best friend, like his one of like his favorite game of all time is New Vegas.
Mhm.
Um, actually, he might. I think he thinks three's. I think he's in the camp that three's better.
Let's
I think he's just like
go.
Austin. He thinks
Let's
3 is his
go.
favorite game of all time. Maybe it's Morrowind. But
That's okay
like
too.
New Vegas is up there. Like it's like those
Uh-huh.
3 are his like top 3. Um, and so I watched him play a shit ton of that Outer Worlds because we were just hanging out. We'd fucking just eat cereal, dry out the fucking box after ripping a bowl and just playing Outer Worlds. I'm like, this
I
is
knew that
great.
second part was in there without you saying it. Like
Right?
I just knew it.
I did too, as like a fellow stoner. I was like, nobody our age eats cereal like that
Cereal
much
dry.
cereal sober.
Yeah, yeah. So like it's one of those things where he's like, I'm making the decisions. You just like enjoy the like gun gameplay, and so it was like one of those things, and like
Sure.
it intrigued me a little bit.
Yeah.
Outer Worlds is good in the sense that it's like 20 to 30 hours, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like that's a
Perfect.
really 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 cool way to do an RPG like that.
I
But the
Mhm.
the the theme or the like the setting, like the space setting, has never done it for me. So like the
Right.
mechanics and like when the storytelling and the characters, like I'm digging, but like I just cannot fall in love with the world, and that
Into
for me is like is a
interesting.
not a killing point, but it's just something that was like I have to really be into some aspect of this because sometimes there's like a
Right.
really compelling character. Like for me, my dumbass Daryl in The Walking Dead. I'm like, I want to see where this guy ends up, and I kept watching all of the fucking Walking Dead. That it's fucking terrible.
For
God, I
one
hate that show.
character.
But I'm like, I just want to know what happens to Daryl. But
Right.
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah,
I
there was no aspect like that like grabbed my attention enough for me to continue playing Outer Worlds. Not that it's a bad game. I think I would actually say it's a good game. It just wasn't for me.
Right.
Similar
yeah.
to Legend of Zelda.
No, I definitely enjoyed it. I hammered away at that game in a 2 week block when my family was quarantining because there was COVID in the house, and so I was just like, I'm a be in my room. If I need anything,
Right.
I'll call.
Also,
Right.
for those out there, there's at least one person listening that's like, wait a minute, Outer Worlds, not Outer Wilds. All right. Next
exactly.
came out the same year, kind of around the same time, I think, too.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but yeah.
We're talking about the shooter, not the time loop
Yeah.
one.
'Cause every time I hear Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds, my brain has to like, okay, which one was the?
Mhm.
Hold on.
Which one's which?
See,
One was New Vegas team.
I haven't played Outer Wilds. If I do, I
As you would.
hope I really enjoy it, just so I could talk about how much I enjoy both games. And people are like, which one is it that Jordan fucking
Which one?
likes? And I was like, it's both
Right.
of them.
Both.
It's both.
Right. Back to the Outer Worlds thing though, is it since it did get a sequel, like I might rip through that like quickly before the
Apparently,
sequel comes
I
out.
also think that
like the comparison I made with the DLC with New Vegas. Apparently, the DLC is really really good
I was
too.
gonna say I heard good things about the
Interesting.
DLC. I never played it, but I hear that I think if you just like play a version that has the DLC already, like those planets are there as a side mission at some point, and then there's also a higher level cap.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh, if you go back to New Vegas for the DLC, play Old World Blues. It's called Old
Okay.
World Blues. That's the best DLC like I've seen in Fallout in a long time. Unbeatable.
Interesting. I might just have to maybe it is only 8 gigabytes, and every time I re-download it, it takes a couple minutes, and then I get my ass whipped by like the same group of people, and I'm like, oh
Dude,
yeah, I remember why I hate this
I
game.
think
You
I
know?
think they're called I think they're called Cazadors. Like
Mhm.
the flying wasp mosquito looking
Oh yeah,
things. Like
Fuck
fuck
that
those
noise.
fuck 'em.
guys. Fuck those
Fuck 'em.
things. God.
Absolutely. All right,
Anyway.
Jordan, I want to bounce back to you for the last one. What you got?
You know what? I think those are all of them. It's turn-based, pixel art, Hi-Fi Rush, and Metroid Prime Remastered. No more nuance. Just gonna
Fair
put
enough.
those four out there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Then I'll jump back to a success story I finally had. Had we done this podcast, 4 months ago, I would have been like, I can't get into this game. But Metal Gear Solid 5,
Hmm.
I've finally gotten into, and I think it took playing Death Stranding for me to like finally understand the genius here, right? Um, Trying to get into a franchise however many games in, like what, there's 8 Metal Gear games, right?
A
Like
lot.
there's a shit ton.
And it's not an easy story. Like I don't know
No.
shit about Metal Gear, but like if you jump me in and like Halo 4, you're like, hey, aliens are on Earth. We don't like the aliens. Some of the aliens are on our side. Just go like correct. I don't know. Metal Gear is complicated
Yeah,
as fuck, my guy.
I've never
exactly.
played a Metal Gear game besides like a couple minutes or something of like a few titles here and there. The only thing I know
Right.
is from Kind of Funny's playthrough that I watched because I was like along for the ride. I was like, I consider myself playing this
Exactly.
game right now.
The most I've played of a Metal Gear game is I used to pick Snake and Brawl.
Fair enough. And like there's rumors that a couple of the games, like there's so many different rumors that like one's getting a remake, three's getting a remake, but also all the old games are getting remastered treatments
Right.
and shit like that
If
because
Blue
like
Point
Konami
if Blue
wants to
Point
come back.
remakes one, I'm in. I will
A
play that
same,
game.
a
I will
same.
play it.
Any of them, I will absolutely jump in. But
I
there's
guess
like
that's true.
five being so like we're in the thick of the story. There's shit that happens way after this game. There's shit that happens way before this game. I have no idea what's happening. And I was the same way with Death Stranding. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm just along for the ride. And like I I'm not like, I don't think you can understand Kojima, but for the longest time I was like, what are we trying to get at here? Like why are these games so revered? And like I tried since like launch year 2015, and on multiple occasions, like I'd come back, play like an hour, and I'm like, I can't do it. And then quarantine broke me, and I sank 169 hours into Death
Nice.
Stranding for
Oh.
the plat. And my God, I loved every second of it, and I'd do it again.
Here's the thing, it could have been 170. He was like,
No.
No,
Josh
those
is like, I've
last-
still never seen the ending cutscene of Death Stranding.
I made an batshit insane neural network of zip lines so I could just get across the map in like 2 minutes for a delivery. I'm like, I'm on the polar opposite side of the map. I need to S rank this delivery. I'm ziplining the whole way there, and like something that would take like a 45-minute, hour-long walk. I'm blasting through 5 minutes tops. It's
5
incredible.
minutes, he says.
5 minutes.
You got to get on Twitch and prove that to us.
Yeah.
As someone who
I'll do it again.
2019 Death Stranding was my game of the year. Like I understand Kojima. Well, okay, I'm not gonna
Right.
say I don't understand Kojima.
You understand Death
I
Stranding.
understand the appeal of Kojima.
and I playing that game made me understand the appeal. It's the fact that it's like you are given one basic objective and there are countless ways to do it. It's the permutations and permutations and combinations. It's just like how can you like your objective deliver action figures to Jeff Keighley. There are like
What?
infinite ways to
That
like
was a
go
cool
about it.
story too. Maybe not his, but like there's like a quest like right after him or something like that. It has to do with like a couple that you come in contact with. Kind of,
Right?
you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
one
I
hundred percent.
really enjoyed that story too. And I was like, I don't like usually side quests per se don't grab my attention. I was like, I'm just gonna mainline. I was like, fuck, I have to see what's going on. Like I need to know. I
Exactly.
need to
See,
know.
everything I heard about Death Stranding makes it sound like that is a game of just side quests with a story at some point.
I mean, the whole thing kind of feels like a side quest, if I'm being honest,
Yeah,
because you don't know
because
the
yeah.
fuck's happening.
it's all fetch and then delivery quests. Death Stranding is also one of the like I would love to put in like give it the good college try someday.
Right.
Metal Gear, the only thing that gets me going, should I get into Metal Gear, is that like, and I think this is mainly about Metal Gear Solid 2, is that like the story is weirdly relevant 20 years later about like the
Yeah.
heard
media
the
news
same thing.
cycle and
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
real news and
Yeah.
fake news. And then I know as a whole, it all has a lot to do with like military propaganda and like imperialism and like how just being overly
Yeah.
nationalistic isn't good. Like,
Yeah, and so like understanding that it was like it's about creative freedom and like player choice to do the one thing. I took that mentality into Metal Gear Solid 5 and I was like, "Oh, my goal is just to like extract a prisoner in this mission." And there are just infinite ways to like go about it.
Also, the first time you fight a BT, I think they're called BTs. Like it's creepy as fuck. And then there's the
Yeah.
rain. Like it just has such unique mechanics and like a world because Kojima, duh. And there's a baby on your
Right.
chest, and you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And
Big B.
I love Death Stranding way more than Metal Gear Solid 5, but like yeah,
Same.
like
I mean, I never said that.
I think it took playing Death Stranding to finally get me to like go full like deep into Metal Gear Solid 5 where I like between January and February alone I put 40 hours into this game. I got a fucking stacked like mother base. I got resource development and staff management up the fucking wazoo, dude. I am like finally mastered Metal Gear Solid 5.
I
Girl
also
the sun.
in Death Stranding, I thought I would get so tired of like the delivering aspect, like just the climbing a rock or a fucking mountain or whatever. I don't think I ever got tired of it. Like I think that it was engaging
Me
enough
neither.
and interesting enough to where I was like, you know what? Like I'm kind of into this. Like I don't know.
Right.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It does seem like a game that if you play it the right way could be fairly relaxing.
The right way for me was just nonstop.
Gotcha.
Just barreling through this thing.
The right way for me was to rip an insane bull. And
That's
just
what I
beat
was
it
getting
up.
at. Yeah. Like embrace
And
the walking sim.
And I was like, either I'm gonna have the most relaxing time of my life, or I'm gonna get a batshit insane cutscene about this woman with this really interesting backstory and her like the like tragic shit
Fragile.
she's been through. Fragile Mama, or I'm gonna get a boss fight where I have to throw Norman Reedus's piss and blood at Troy Baker, and it's incredible. And so you're smoke, and you're just going for
See,
the
my
ride.
concern with playing Death Stranding under the influence like that would be like if the demons start coming out of the puddles, I'm gonna have a panic attack.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's a world where Josh does he does his thing with the bull and then he plays and he gets scared by a BT and he's just in a corner the entire time. He's like, I can't fucking do
No, I
this.
mean, I think we've told the story before, but like when me and Liren went to see the first Shazam movie, we are like, this is lighthearted. This is a nice movie. We smoked beforehand. We go in like 30 minutes into the movie when like our
It's
eye is
demonic
peaking.
shit.
Demons start coming out of this dude's eye, and we're like, no, this was not a good idea.
The most nervous I was playing Death Stranding. Best friend walks in the room. He's like, "What's this game?" Like trying to like watching it and stuff like that. And I'm showing him the mechanics, and he's like, "Can I hold the baby? Can I?" and like you rock the baby with the controller, and I'm like holding my DualShock. I'm like, "Am I gonna give this to you? This is a lot of power.
My baby.
Am I gonna hand
Did you
you my
think he was
baby?
just
Do I trust you?" Yeah, dude. I was 100%.
2019, I think, was like the year I started dating Hallie, and I think
Yeah.
I started dating her around when I was playing this game, and I remember her asking me what I was playing, and I just kind of said like, I can't, like I
can't.
can't.
It's one of those things where like I can't say it's Call of Duty. It's not Mario. Like it's too fucking weird for me to
Weird.
explain.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a baby, and
I drink Monster
Kojima.
Energy drinks. There's
Yeah,
Norman
product
Reedus's
placement is a thing.
ass.
Something
A
about
lot of celebrity cameos.
yeah, there was
Die
like a
Heart
band.
made.
There was a band that got kind of like more famous because of this game.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to explain it. There's
Fair enough.
rain that makes you age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's the rain actually comes from the same water from the beach that makes you old.
Yep. That's 100%
M
it.
Night.
It's
M
all
Night.
part of the.
Is that what you're referencing right now? M
Yeah.
Night Shyamalan? Damn, I have not
It's all
That's
seen
what
part
that.
of
happens. Is the
the.
clouds pick up that water and then they go across the country and they rain and then boom, it's now the rain that makes you old.
Fuck.
enough.
I did watch. What was it? Knock at the Cabin. I watched that movie. It was all right. I liked it. It was
Not
okay.
bad. Not bad.
Not terrible.
Not
Typical
on-
M Night, but it was
right. Fair enough. Any last notes? Any final things we want to say?
I will say I personally have trouble with the games that give me too much freedom where I get too lost.
Yeah.
And the examples I'll
agree.
give to that is I've never been able to get into Minecraft. And then one time when I needed a game that I, played while smoking, I was like, what about No Man's Sky? Like just out there exploring space.
Too much.
Interesting.
Too much freedom. I didn't really know what I was doing. And then like I'd look up guides online. I was like, fuck, I gotta get into base building. And then the one that I really thought would be like, this is the dream game, man. This is what I wanted. Was Lego Worlds. I thought I was going to sink
Ooh.
hours into Lego Worlds.
That was Pokemon Go for me. And I was like, oh my god.
Oh, I put a lot of hours into Pokemon
I
Go.
did too, but then
And I've been thinking about picking it back up.
I mean, I always think
Interesting.
about it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I thought Pogo was gonna I was gonna go unemployed. Like I was just gonna play this game.
Dude, what I'd give to go back to that summer though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway,
Those first, yeah. But yeah, like Lego Worlds even was just kind of like, didn't give me enough of a like checklist. And I'm not necessarily a checklist person. Like I don't play games that have icons all over the map and go, so much to do. I need something though. I need you to be like, this is what we are hoping that you do. And then at some
Here's a
point,
goal.
maybe if these games gave me like 4 more hours of guided content before they were like, hey, the world's your oyster.
Yeah. 100%.
the Elder Scrolls are really good at that. I mean, and they have it's not the same thing, but
Oh,
the
and
Elder
I-
Scrolls is really good at like teaching you just a few things to pique your interest, and then they have things like the Dark Brotherhood. And
Oh,
like
and
Thieves
I
Guild.
put a lot of hours into Skyrim when I had it on the PS3 because I constantly had these goals, but I also had a quest log and could be like, hey, I feel like doing something else, or oh, I'm on my way to this mission. That house looks cool. Let me go in there.
It's very telling because I said Elder Scrolls and Oblivion popped in my head rather than Skyrim. So it's very
Damn.
telling of how old I am and my taste in games. So
You're my age.
I'm just saying, man.
Fair enough. Well, that will do it for us in this episode here. Comment down below what games you can't get into. Make sure you're playing games. Give them a good college try.
Mhm.
Like this video if you like the podcast. Subscribe and stay tuned for a bunch more reviews. We got the Destiny Lightfall review is up now. We got This is the Waypoint Mandalorian coming to you every Thursday, and we got Resident Evil 4 on the horizon. So bunch of content to look forward to, and you should give that content a try. And if you can't get into it, comment below and tell us why. We'll change.
You
And
guys
please,
suck.
we love you.
Sen. Okay.
Exactly. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next Media Club.